You understand everything, but you deliberately make it look as if you don't, Aglaya said almost in a whisper, looking sullenly at the ground. Why would I do that? Nastasia Philippovna smiled slightly. You want to take advantage of my position, that I am in your house, Aglaya went on absurdly and awkwardly. You are to blame for that position, not I. Nastasia Philippovna suddenly flared up. I didn't invite you, but you me, and so far I don't know why. Aglaya raised her head arrogantly. Hold your tongue, it is not with this weapon of yours that I have come to fight with you. Ah. So you've come to fight after all? Imagine, I thought that, anyhow, you were, more clever. They both looked at each other, no longer concealing their spite. One of these women was the same one who had so recently written such letters to the other. And now everything scattered at their first meeting and with their first words. What then? At that moment it seemed that none of the four people in the room found it strange. The prince, who the day before would not have believed it possible even to dream of it, now stood, looked, and listened as if he had long anticipated it all. The most fantastic dream had suddenly turned into the most glaring and sharply outlined reality. One of these women despised the other so much at that moment, and wished so much to say it to her, perhaps she had come only for that, as Rogojin put it the next day, that, however fantastic the other woman was, with her disordered mind and sick soul, it seemed no preconceived idea could withstand the venomous, purely female despite of her rival. The prince was certain that Nastasia Philippovna would not start talking about the letters on her own. By her flashing glances, he could tell what those letters might cost her now, but he would have given half his life if Aglaya, too, would not start talking about them now. But Aglaya suddenly seemed to make an effort and at once gained control of herself. You misunderstand me, she said. I haven't come to quarrel with you, though I don't like you. I've come to you, for a human talk. When I summoned you, I had already decided what I was going to speak about, and I will not go back on my decision, though you may misunderstand me completely. That will be the worse for you, not for me. I wanted to reply to what you wrote to me, and to reply in person, because it seemed more convenient to me. Listen, then, to my reply to all your letters. I felt sorry for Prince Lev Nikolaevich for the first time the very day I made his acquaintance and later when I learned about all that had happened at your party. I felt sorry for him because he is such a simple-hearted man and in his simplicity believed that he could be happy, with a woman of such character. What I feared for him was just what happened. You could not love him, you tormented him and abandoned him. You could not love him because you are too proud. No, not proud, I'm mistaken, but because you are vain, and not even that, you are selfish to the point of madness, of which your letters to me also serve as proof. You could not love him, simple as he is, and may even have despised him and laughed at him to yourself. You could love only your own disgrace and the incessant thought that you had been disgraced and offended. If you had had less disgrace or none at all, you would have been unhappier. It was a pleasure for Aglaya to articulate these words, so hurriedly leaping out, yet long prepared and pondered, already pondered when today's meeting could not even have been pictured in a dream. With a venomous gaze she followed their effect in Nastasia Philippovna's face, distorted with emotion. You remember, she went on, he wrote me a letter then, he says you know about the letter and have even read it? I understood everything from that letter and understood it correctly. He recently confirmed it to me himself, that is, everything I'm telling you now, even word for word. After the letter I began to wait. I guessed that you'd have to come here, because you really can't do without Petersburg. You're still too young and good-looking for the provinces. However, those are also not my words, she added, blushing terribly, and from that moment on the color never left her face to the very end of her speech. When I saw the prince again, I felt terribly pained and offended for him. Don't laugh. If you laugh, you're not worthy of understanding it. You can see that I'm not laughing, Nastasia Philippovna said sadly and sternly. However, it's all the same to me, laugh as much as you like. When I asked him myself, he told me that he had stopped loving you long ago, that even the memory of you was painful for him, but that he pitied you, and that when he remembered you, his heart felt pierced forever. I must tell you, too, that I have never met a single person in my life who is equal to him in noble simple-heartedness and infinite trustfulness. I guessed after what he said that anyone who wanted to could deceive him, and whoever deceived him he would forgive afterwards, and it was for that I loved him. Aglaya stopped for a moment, as if struck, as if not believing herself that she could utter such a word, but at the same moment an almost boundless pride flashed in her eyes. It seemed that it was now all the same for her, even if that woman should laugh now at the confession that had escaped her. I've told you everything, and, of course, you've now understood what I want from you? Perhaps I have, but say it yourself, Nastasia Philippovna replied quietly. Wrath lit up in Aglaya's face. I wanted to find out from you, she said firmly and distinctly, by what right do you interfere in his feelings towards me? By what right do you dare write letters to me? By what right do you declare every minute to me and to him that you love him, after you yourself abandoned him and ran away from him in such an offensive and disgraceful way? I have never declared either to him or to you that I love him. Nastasia Philippovna spoke with effort, and, you're right, I ran away from him, she added barely audibly. What do you mean you never declared either to him or to me? Cried Aglaya. And what about your letters? Who asked you to match-make us and persuade me to marry him? Isn't that a declaration? Why do you force yourself on us? At first I thought you wanted, on the contrary, to make me loathe him by meddling with us, so that I would abandon him, and only later did I guess what it was. You simply imagined that you were doing a lofty deed with all this posturing. Well, how could you love him, if you love your vanity so much? Why didn't you simply go away, instead of writing ridiculous letters to me? Why don't you now marry the noble man who loves you so much and has honored you by offering his hand? It's all too clear why, if you marry Rogozhin, what sort of offense will you have left then? You'll even get too much honor. Yevgeny Pavlich said of you that you've read too many poems and are too well educated for your position, that you're a bookish woman and a lily-white, add your vanity, and there are all your reasons. And you're not a lily-white? The matter had arrived too hastily, too nakedly at such an unexpected point, unexpected because Nastasia Philippovna, on her way to Pavlovsk, had still been dreaming of something, though, of course, she anticipated it would sooner be bad than good. As for Aglaya, she was decidedly carried along by the impulse of the moment, as if falling down a hill, and could not resist the terrible pleasure of revenge.